to manage. He has given your family to manage. He has given you businesses to manage. Just like our brother has reminded us several times, what the Bible said, that it is God who gives us the ability to make wealth. God gives you the ability. Yes, you make wealth, but without God, what if God decides to allow you to just die tomorrow? So time, management, or let's say it's actually more of life management. Because you can't manage time. People talk about time management. You can't do anything about time. Time just continues in its own. It's a continuum. So it means making us, you and I, making proactive. The opposite of proactive is reactive. In other words, you wait for something to happen before you respond. But when you are proactive, you are actually acting before that thing happens. And of course, in medicine, they will tell you that preventive medicine is the best. They say prevention is better than cure. It is easier to keep my compound clean, to make sure that there are no stagnant water, or so that mosquitoes will not there, than to spend money treating malaria. So it means making proactive decisions about how you and I choose to spend our hours every single day. It's about being intentional about the task that you and I choose to complete and the way we use our time in doing it. And that is what this is all about. I remember I started off with Genesis chapter 1, and I guess people ask me that question. There's one question that really pops up when I discuss things like this. And I don't know if that's the question you have in mind. And it's a question people ask me, bro, what do you mean when you say that time is an illusion? What do you mean time is an illusion? And that's it really, and I really mean it. Not because I'm saying it, because that's actually true. Scientifically, time is an illusion. Time was created for us. And because it was created for us, and it does not exist anywhere else in the universe, believe it or not. Time, as you and I know it, does not exist anywhere else in the universe. For example, like I told you that if you were to travel to Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, your research will be useless. If you leave the Earth and you go to space, so which time are you going to? Because what determines our time is the rising of the sun. Well, we say it rises. It's actually it's actually the Earth, that actually goes round and the moon goes round. So the illusion is that the sun rises from the east and sets at the west. So if you don't have sunrise and sunset, so how do you know your time? So if everything was just daylight constantly, how will you know when night comes and when so you can't count 24 hours. So time is an illusion. And that illusion is good because it gives us a paradigm for our for the weakest parts of our being, which is the flesh. God made us in his image. Some people argue that image could be the same thing that we see God as a Trinity, Father, Son, and the Spirit, yet they are one. And you are your flesh, your soul, and your spirit, and yet you are one. But your soul is not your spirit is not your flesh is not your soul, but together you are you. Your flesh is you, spirit is you, soul is you. Maybe another time we'll talk about the concept of the Trinity. So God created the lights to guide our day, the greater light to guide our day, to rule over the day, and the lesser lights to rule at night, which is, of course, is the moon, that we know. So, and this is to give us season, time and season, asiko, oge, season, like the rainy season, dry season, all the seasons that we have. We have 4 seasons of the year, from the winter to spring to summer and fall. In this part of the world, it is not very distinct like other places. So we call it rainy season and dry season, but there are 4 seasons of the year. I guess that's another thing that maybe the white man using confusing us. There are actually 4 seasons. No matter where you live in the world, there are 4 seasons of the world. So there are no 2 seasons. Rainy season, no. There are actually 4 seasons. So God made that. So I zeroed in on talking about the definition. When you do a study like this, that has to do with word. You might have to do what they call the etymology. Etymology is to study the origin, the use of that word. I remember sharing something like this with the School of Vision on Monday. We're looking at etymology because the syllabus we are doing this, this trimester is the preaching and teaching. So as you preach and teach, you need to know how to handle preaching and teaching. So if you are doing word study, you have to go down to the meaning of that word, the original meaning, or the context that word is used. And a very simple example I normally use is the next state after Lagos State. When you drive to Lagos State, whichever angle you go, the next state in Nigeria that you meet is Ogun State. And Ogun State was named after the river Ogun, the Ogun River. Ogun River. It was named after the Ogun River. So Ogun, Ogun, could mean the Ogun River. Ogun could mean Ogun. That means you are not tall. It could mean Ogun. It could mean Ogun, meaning sweat. It could mean Ogun pound. It could mean Ogun, meaning tall, or Ogun, meaning medicine. Now, there's a difference between Ogun and Ogun in Yoruba language. There is medicine, it connotes healing, and there is poison, which is majele. Okay, so some of you who are interested in language, you probably, so when you see the word Ogun used in a sentence in Yoruba language, you have to look at the context. Which context is it used for? So when you also read the word time, and to prepare this class, I practically looked at over 100, let me be humble here, over 100 passages in the Bible that talks about time. And in doing that, you find out that that word time is used in two ways. One is chronos in Greek, chronos, chronos. That's what you get chronometer, or the word chronology. So chronology is like arranging things the way they come in time. So you have chronometer, chronology, first and second Corinthians, not Corinthians, I might just remember blood. So the Chronicles, Chronicles. So Chronicles is also about history, about time, how they come. But the second definition is Kairos, Kairos, like care, Kairos. Kairos is not measured in quantity, it's measured in quality. So chronos is the quantity, like how many time, like Igba, Asiko. It's measured in wakati, it's measured in seconds, minutes, then hour. So that's chronos. Kairos is measured in quality, it's not quantity. Chronos, which is the time, is measured in minutes. Kairos is measured in moments. You cannot define it really. So it's in a moment. So chronos is finite. That means it has past, present, and future. Then of course, Kairos is time that consumes us. Okay, we don't consume it, we don't spend it. He actually spends us. Chronos is sequential. Then Kairos is seasonal. Chronos is a daily reality. You see it every day. Kairos is a spiritual opportunity that we get. So Chronos is imagined in watch. Kairos is imagined in the way when you open your window. That is the day has done. So I really enjoyed doing this study. Kairos signifies the proper time. It signifies the opportune time, the opportune action, the qualitative permanence of nature. It is the ancient Greek word that talks about the right time, critical time, or opportune moments. And of course, that belongs to God. So it's a very good thing to actually study. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11 says, yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in human hearts. So there's something about us that want to live forever. But even with that, the Bible says man cannot see the whole scope because we are limited. So when I say man now, I mean your man, the one you're looking at. My eyesight, even if your eyesight is very sharp, you might be able to see like 1 kilometer if you're very, very sharp, as extremely sharp. People who who drive, train drivers who drive train. One of the tests they do to them is their optical strength. You must be ready, you must be able to see very, very far. Soldiers, the same thing too. You must be able to actually see very, very far. Pilots, the same thing too. You must be able to see very, very far. So God has given us the eyes. So this eyes has limitation. It cannot see beyond. And that's why Paul prayed in the Bible that God will open the eyes of the hearts of the disciples. And just like Elijah prayed that God will open the eyes of his servant. So that which Paul is saying God should open is the one that gives you vision. You can now see beyond what your eyesight can actually do. And it's a very incredible, so there's a time for everything. The Bible says a time to be born and a time to die. That one is chronos, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to love and a time to hate. So what does he work again? The Bible says from all his toil. Ecclesiastes says, I have seen the burden God has laid on man. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Now, think about it. For everything, there is a season and time for everything under the earth. Job chapter 36, it said, God is exalted in his power. Who is a teacher like him? Who has prescribed his ways for him? Or said to him, you have done wrong. Nobody can say that. And that was why Job said, remember to extol his works, which man has praised in songs. All mankind has seen it. Men gaze on it from afar. How great is God beyond our understanding. The number of his years has found us. So God does not live in our time. And that is why, and there's something that we can learn about prayer here. Why is it that we are told in the Bible that when we pray, we should believe that we've already received it? Think about it. Let's say you pray to graduate from school in 2 years. I would say, believe you already received it. Because to you are thinking, oh, in the next 2 years. Why can't you say now? Why can't you say now? So, because God doesn't exist at that time. So God answers our prayer now. But we are the ones that wait for it to materialize because we are encased in this space-time continuum. I mean, some of you who have watched Doctor Strange, the Marvel series will probably understand what I'm saying. Somebody said, why is it true? I said, well, there are a lot of things that we don't know yet. So Ephesians chapter 5 says that we should be careful how we walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of our time. So how we use our time is very, very important. Jesus Christ said, are there no 12 hours in a day? He said, walk when there is still daytime. So look at it. That like that proverb I mentioned in the Igbo language, it says that you don't look for a black goat in the night. Okay, if you want to look for search for your black goat during daytime, when it's easier. Now you might be able to find it at night, but it'll probably take you a long time. You'll probably risk so many things. You'll probably injure yourself. It's just not worth it. Okay, it's not just worth it. So in other words, are there things today that you're supposed to be doing that you're not doing? You are leaving for later. Are there things that you should be doing? And that's why I brought up some of those things, that I did on Sunday. About time. How do you use your time? Jesus Christ told us in Luke chapter 14 that if you want to follow him, we must count the cost. So are you counting the cost today? Are you counting the cost? Even in what you are eating at this time. Are there things you shouldn't be eating that you are eating? But you say, but I like it now. Well, Yoruba will say, ara lo nfa, it adds up in your body. Are there things you are taking for granted now? For students amongst us, are you supposed to be reading your book and you are busy watching Telemundo or you are busy playing video game? an exam now comes and you are sweating. Proverbs chapter 6 asks us to go to the ants. Why? He said we should consider, think carefully, consider the ways of the ants. The Bible says, and be wise. What is their way? The Bible says, one, the ant has no commander. Nobody is beating him at the back. Say, oh yeah, go. Ace obey. No commander. He has no overseer. But yet it gathers its food at harvest. So when things are plenty, it gathers its food, and yet it stores its provision in summer. So he also has savings. It gathers, then it saves in summer. And it gathers its food at harvest, and it saves at summer. Today, I ask us today, honestly, children of God, disciples, maybe friends that are visiting, do you have savings? Think about it. Do you have insurance as disciples? Are you putting something aside? You might be strong now, you might be healthy, you might whatever, but are you putting something aside, like they say, for the rainy day? Are you putting something aside for your children? Something to help them out. I know, when my son was born, when he was 1 year old, we started up and savings for his education. And by the time he was ready to go to university, I had all the money to pay for 4 years of university degree, especially if you are going to a public school. I had all the money to pay for his. How much was I putting? I'll put it like 1,000 naira a month. 1,000 naira a month since when he was 1 year old. Think about it. Think about it today. Are you investing? How many of you disciples, you are living in a rented apartment today, which is where most of us started? Do you have plans for land somewhere? Even speculative buying. I remember those days they used to sell land at Greek in the Ojodu for 100,000 naira. People say, thinking about when will it be cheap? Today is 5 million. It's still expensive. Think about it. If you were chased out of where you're living today, we have a place. All this I'm telling you, I have done them. So I'm not preaching just whatever. I have done them. Okay, we know my father. We bought our first property when my daughter was like 1 year old. Think about it. But Bible says it stores its provision in summer and gathers its food at harvest. How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? Or then you are sleeping, and the kind of sleep you are sleeping is the mirror kind of sleeping. That to wake you up is difficult. How long will you lie there? As a student, are you saving up? Are you saving up? Are you helping your parents? I'm a student, but you can do some jobs. The last time my wife and I gave our kids pocket money was like almost 3 years ago. Almost 3 years ago. So they work, they make their money, and they contribute even to the family. They pay bills in the house. So I'm not telling you what I don't do. So we need to be able to empower ourselves. One of the things I told myself, I'm not going to make mistakes that some of our parents made, where as they are getting older, there's pressure on their children. They're just trying to start up. And some of you, when your parents call you, those of you that parents are still around, when they call you, your heart will skip because it's all about money. It's all about money. Man, you don't phone. You don't want to carry the phone because your heart don't cut. But what if we do it right? Where parents will be able to say, hey, my son, come. I want my grandchildren to come and visit me for this Christmas. Don't worry, I've sent their tickets. I bought the ticket. I sent a ticket in your mail. Please just would that be? Is that supposed to be how life supposed to be? Where you're not afraid. Proverbs said, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come at you like a bandit, and scarcity like an armed man. For some of you who are educated, are you polishing up yourself? Are you getting more relevant? Or so I have a degree. Did you know there are courses you can be taking to polish yourself up? Even free, there are free courses. free certifications that they can take online, that you can add. Bible say, add to your faith goodness, to goodness knowledge. Are you growing? See, if you're not growing, you are going to be stale. Think about it. Is it time? Some of us, we have been living in the same place for too long. It's time to move. Don't be a local champion. I normally tell the young, the young adults on campus, I say, do these four things for me and for yourself, and you're going to be fine. 1, be a disciple, remain a disciple. That's number 1. Number 2, I beg them, please marry a disciple. Number 3, don't live in one place for too long. You're born, try and move. When you move your location, it challenges your thinking. You get to people who are better than you, are more smarter than you. And number 4, I tell them, please don't have too many children. Because children are not only a blessing, they're also a responsibility. So that you can, we want to change the generations to come. Poverty is not from God. Okay, poverty is not from God. So sometimes most of what we call poverty is actually self-made. It's actually self-made. If you're thinking about throwing a party for yourself now, you can go ahead and throw the party. But do you have enough to pay your rent at the end of the month? If you want to be like other people, maybe you want to get married, and you want to have 20 groomsmen, 20 brides ladies, 20 whatever, and after your wedding, you are hoping, during your wedding, you're hoping that the DJ will keep on playing, that you can spray your money, because you are broke, because you've gone to borrow money so that you can be like the Joneses, so that you can be like everyone. Do you understand the time that we're living in at this time? Bible says, in all hard work, there is profit. Proverbs 14. There is profit. But merely talking about it only brings poverty. So what means that you don't just have to talk. Oh, I will do. What are you doing? Not what you are saying. What plans are you making today? What plans are you making today? Did you want to wait until you are 65 and you have retired before you start thinking about owning a home for yourself? Proverbs 19 says, the sluggard buries his hand in the dish. He will not even bring it back to his mouth. Sometimes we see opportunities and yet we don't take it. You have food is there. You bury your hand, but to bring it to your mouth, you don't take opportunities. Think about it. How many opportunities have you lost in your time that God has given to all of us? The way of the sluggard is blocked with thorns, but the path of the upright is a highway. You go to the way of God, everything has overgrown. There is chuku everywhere, grass everywhere, because they don't take time to weed. So what is it that you need to weed from your life today? Are there distractions that you need to just take it clear so that you can see, so that you don't step on stone, so that you don't step on bottle, so that you don't step on nail? Start by cleaning up your house, young people. Start by learning to clean up your house. Don't just dress nice when you come out. Also clean up when you are at home. The sluggard says there's a lion outside, I'll be murdered. Sometimes it's a fear that is holding some of us down. I passed the field of the sluggard, says Proverbs chapter 24. I passed the vineyard of the man who lacks judgment. Thorns had covered everywhere. The ground was covered with weeds, and the stone wall was in ruins. I applied my heart to what I observed, and I learned a lesson from what I saw. The writer says, a little sleep, a little slumber. In other words, all those small time, unaccounted for time, you waste them. You're not accounting for them. When you're supposed to be doing a particular thing for yourself, that is when let's go hang out. You go and hang out. People come to you. Time is not planned. You are easily I'm not saying you shouldn't hang out. I mean, I love hanging out. But are you spending from the abundance of what you have? Or are you spending for what you don't have? Is it not after you planned your time, then you're able to allocate time to go and watch movie or to browse the internet or to watch? Some of you just say all those short videos, and I love them too. But how much time do you spend? 1 hour, 2 hours? Do you know that those people who post those videos there are making millions? Do you know how much Tauma is worth? Do you know how much Burashagi is worth? Do you know how much some of those are? Yeah, I mean, it's good to watch that they're very refreshing and whatever. But what are you doing with your time? The Bible said that at the door turns on its hinges, the door is turning, so a sluggard turns on his bed. When you wake up, stand up. Stand up. Don't just lie down there fantasizing because you don't have any plan. Plan your days. So all those things that we talked about are very real. I want you to be a man of vision. Don't just have sight, what you see today. What are you saying tomorrow? What is a vision for your family? I ask you today, what is a vision for your family? What's your family, your immediate family? Where do you see your children tomorrow? Where do you see your next generation? Are they going to repeat the same mistake that our grandparents made, where they had children, but they didn't have plans on how this thing is going to end? What is your plan? Are you prioritizing even rest? Where you say, you know what, I've done today. And it's only the person who works hard that can actually prioritize rest. You work hard and say, you know what, I'm shutting everything down. I'm going to rest. And you have sleep. Bible says that it's God that gives you sleep. Do you have clear boundaries? Things you can't do at just any time? Or are your boundaries very porous? It's like somebody whose fence is so porous that goats can jump in, could come and eat his food, go out. Well, there's no control. Prioritize rest. Are you managing the blessings that God has given you very well? Someone said that we must use time as a tool, not as crutch. You are leaning on it when it's too late. Yesterday is the past. Tomorrow, future. But today is a gift. That is why it's called present. So are you living in the present? Finally, the other time, even as we plan, there's a sermon I had probably 2003 or 2004. It stuck to my head. So some sermon I don't just forget. It was preached right here in our church at the land. And the brother, I don't know if you guys remember what he said, but one of our brothers mentioned something. He calls it practical humanism. So what I just said in my part one is practical humanism. In other words, I'm able to do what I want to do. I'm able to organize myself. I believe in myself. I know what I can do. The opposite is pious irresponsibility. You know what he said? God go do amo. Have you read your book? By God's grace, I go pass. Have you read your book? So one is saying I have control over my life, and what I sow is what I'm going to reap. The other one say, everything that God. I beg, forget this book where they read. God, only God knows who's going to do well. People have used that one as an excuse to be lazy. So kairos, God's own time. James chapter 4, verse 13 said, listen, you who say today, tomorrow, I will go to this city, I will spend a year here, I will carry out business. It is good, though, and I'll make money. It is good to do those things. He said, why don't you don't even know what will happen tomorrow? What's your life? You're just a mist that appears a little while and then it vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is God, the Lord's will. So God is not saying you shouldn't plan, but he said, I put God in the picture. Like many of us already know that there are three ways that God, people believe that God answers prayer. God's answer might be yes to whatever you ask for. God's answer might be no to whatever you ask for, what you ask for. God's answer can be wait, not now, wait. But another fourth one, where the Bible says that God can do immeasurably, you can't measure it. He can do immeasurably more beyond what you can ask or imagine. That's what I like. I said, God, use me to boast. God, use me doing yanga. Use me. So that was, even when I planned, since I was in secondary school, late part of secondary school, of course, I began praying that prayer. And that's prayer I prayed all my life in my academics. Whenever I go for my examination, I always say a short prayer. I say, God, please help me to remember everything I've read. Help me to remember everything I've heard. Help me to remember everything that I've learned all through. That's all I'm asking for, just to remember. Because sometimes your brain can just jam, boom, in the examination hall. and God has been faithful all through. Bible said that if it is the will of God. So now even after I've done everything I have planned to do, I also have to say, God, what do you think? Yes, I have worked, I've counted the cost and whatever, but God, what do you think? Because if we don't put God in the picture, in verse 16, it says, as it is, you boast and brag. All such boasting is evil, bad. Say, anyone there who knows the good he ought to do and doesn't do his sins. So it's evil. So we look at God's time, okay? But you can't be looking at God's time when you've not done your own. It's like someone say, God, give me a wife. I refuse to go on dates. God, give me a wife. I refuse to spend time. Give me a wife. You refuse to join DT Heart and Soul. God's going to do that for you. It's like that man who was praying, oh God, please, this lottery they do in America, the lottery, you win like billion, hundreds of millions. God, please help me to win the lottery. Help me to win the lottery. If I win the lottery, my life will change. Everything will be okay. I'll have all the money I need. And God said, my son, I beg, help me out. Let me out. Can you please go and buy a ticket? Buy a ticket, then I'll help you. So Psalm 31, verse 14 says, but I trust in you, O Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hands. Deliver me from my enemies and from those who pursue me. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 6 says, humble yourself, therefore, under God's might. I think we even sang that song today. Humble yourself under God's might, and that he may lift you up in due time. That is God's own time. And of course, I told the story of Joseph. In studying time, there are about 5 personalities that are really, really inspire me. Paul is one. I mean, everything that happened to him was just God. Moses is another one. Then I looked at someone like Daniel. Then I look at someone like David. But this one I'm sharing about Joseph, whose story took many parts of the book of Genesis. In fact, the story ended the book of Genesis. So look at God's time. His own time was so he did what was right, but God had a better plan. And that was why at the end of his life, in chapter 50, Joseph was able to tell his brothers, don't worry, what you did to me was bad enough, was really bad. You intended it for evil, but look, hey, God turned it around. So that is man's plan or man's time, but that's God's plan. And that's why Joseph was able to say it was to save lives. Now I understand. It was to save lives that God has sent me ahead of you. Now, when he was going through that torment and that whatever, of course, we don't know that. And that is for us also to be careful at how we quickly jump into conclusion to want to tell people why they are going through what they are going through. And that was the sin, one of the sins of the friends of Job. Job. Okay. When Job was going to his calamity, they came for a few days, they were there, they kept quiet. It was okay until they opened their mouths and begin to try to second guess or figure out. They were like, Job, maybe you are harboring sin. Job said, me which kind of sin? Me wave my hand declare. Job, maybe you don't help the poor. You know people who eat in my house? People that are free? Oh, Job, maybe you don't give money out. I said, I'm generous. Until Job, began to become self-righteous, and his friend were trying to figure out. Sometimes we don't know. We don't know why some things are not working for us. Joseph was like, who gave me all these dreams? While I'm sharing my dream, the more I share my dream, the more I get into trouble. From being hated by my brothers, to having a beef. My mother, they have a beef with, with me, to planning to kill me, to selling me, to becoming a slave in Potiphar's house, to becoming a prisoner. I say, God, when will it end? So today, are you asking yourself, God, why? I'm praying for rights, you are giving me lefts. I'm praying for up, and you're bringing me down. I'm praying for big, and giving me lean. It's time for you to ask God, what plan do you have for me? Reveal your plans to me. I want to know the time that I'm operating with. And that was why Joseph was able to say it was to save lives that God has sent me ahead of you. Think about it. Jesus Christ went around doing good. He told them he had his time. He said, I'm going to heal today, tomorrow, and Thursday I will meet my goal. Yet, he had to also submit himself to the will of the Father. Think about it. Are there things you are struggling with time? Time is ticking. I am single. I am still in school. I don't have my house yet. I'm still a tenant. I'm still whatever. Then work hard. Then ask God, God, is there something you want me to know at this time? Is there something? I mean, for me, many times in my life, there are so many things I've thought, oh man, this one now, banker. End of the day, just didn't work. We're like, oh, why? And those questions are not out of place, and are not out of place. But we need to ask God. We need to ask God to reveal, Himself to us. In John chapter 17, verse 4, Jesus Christ said, I glorified you on earth, haven't accomplished the work that you gave me to do. Say, God, God, please teach me to number my days. Maybe I'm not numbering it, very, very well. Teach me to number my days right. You guys remember the parable, that parable of the old man and the white horse that that I shared with us. I remember a disciple was telling me, man, I still remember that that parable, where there was this old, just in case you missed that parable, there was this old parable about this old man, and he had a white horse, and this parable of the old man and the white horse is a very beautiful one. He has a beautiful ending. So I also had a very beautiful horse, and he could sell that horse anytime. He could sell it to amass great wealth and fortune, for himself. So the old man chooses to keep it in a stable, and he never sold the horse. He didn't want to sell it, and everyone was like, look at you are crazy, and they were telling him, come one day here, this horse will won't sell. This horse will be stolen, will stolen for you. Better sell it and put some money in your pocket and live a better life. Interestingly, that day came. He woke up one morning and the horse was not in the stable. It was nowhere to be found. So the man's neighbors were right all along. They rushed to tell the man, that he was cursed. He said, God, don't catch you. You were cursed because he had lost everything. It was the most precious thing you have, and you have lost everything. But the man, in his wisdom, very calm, he responded. His response was very profound. He told them, hey, guys, don't speak so quickly. Say only that the horse is not in the stable. That is all we know. The rest is judgment. If I have been cursed or not, how can you know? How can you judge? How can you say I'm cursed? So the people were offended, at what this man said. How can you say this? You're not, cursed. Say it's a curse. No matter what, whatever your perspective might be, it is a curse. So the old man spoke again. All I know is that the stable is empty, the horse is gone. The rest I do not know. Whether it's a curse or a blessing, I cannot say. All we can see is a fragment. Who can say what will come next? So what a fool, the neighbor were thinking. This guy, man, is a fool. So after several days, interestingly, that horse actually returned. That white horse actually returned. He had not been stolen, so it was not stolen. He actually just wandered away. He ran away. Now, in his return, he brought with him, 12 wild horses. 12 wild horses followed him, and now the neighbors had to come out to go and tell the man that, well, I think you are right and we are wrong all along. The fact is that, you are blessed, my brother. You are very blessed. Look at you. You are very blessed. Because now, look at your whole herd is full. All your barn is full with horses. You see how we normally quantify blessing by what you can see only. I'm not saying that blessed, what you can see cannot be a form of blessing only. But the man responds again, say, well, once again, guys, you are going too far. Say the only thing that is very obvious. Say that your horse is back. State only that a dozen horses returned with him, but don't judge. Don't come and say whether it's a blessing or whatever. How do you know if this is a blessing or a curse? You can tell me. If you know, tell me, but you don't know. You see only a fragment. Unless you know the whole story, how can you judge? You don't know the whole story. Somebody today might be suffering, but you don't know where he's going to end today. Once upon a time, a man was telling us how he didn't have shoes. He didn't have shoes, but he became the president of the strongest black nation. We've had people who didn't pass even WAEC, attempted school starts, rule us, while those who are professors were dummies around them. Sometimes we don't know how this story is going to end, but can we please just do our own parts? The Bible says you read only in the page of a book, but you do not read the whole book. You read only the word, just one phrase. How can you understand the entire phrase? The man's neighbor again, they found it hard to argue with him. Maybe he's right, they said, but deep down in their heart, they said, we know he is strong. He had just one horse, and now he had 13 horses. Who can say that is not a blessing? The old man, of course, he had his son, his only son. So the son was, of course, breaking. When you train a horse, they don't call it train, they call it breaking a horse. A white horse, you break a white horse. So he was there, breaking the white horse by training them. When one of them flung him to ride in, and boa, he fell and broke 2 of his legs. Guess what happened? It's like the story of the Ikeja-ketu of Ebenezer Obey. The man and his, they come in and say, we are all struck at this man's wisdom. He was right. We are wrong. They thought the old man is actually a curse. The old man, being too old to do more, much far for himself. He no longer has his son available to work in the land with no one to tend the farm. He will likely lose his income. They thought to themselves. Not too long after that time, war broke out the whole country, and the government of that country required that all young men, were called up to come and enlist in the army. Of course, most of them will perish. They will not come back from the war, leaving their fathers and mothers, without sons. This was true also for the old man's friends, the neighbors. A lot of their sons went to war and they never came back home. So they went to the old man. They were crying when they heard their son were dead. He said, well, old man, you are right. We are wrng. Your son's accident is actually a blessing. While his legs were taken away from him, many more years he will have with you. They said, we will not in our own life see our sons again. The old man responded once again, it is impossible to talk with you people. You people can't just reason. Why are you always just moving here and there? You always draw conclusion. No one knows. Say only this. Your son had go to war and mine did not go to war. The only thing that we know is that yours is dead, mine is alive. If it's a blessing or a curse, no one is wise enough to know. Only God knows. So that is telling you that we need to also put our lives in the hands of God. So that you're not just walking. You're not remembering God. Put God in your life. Ask God to bless even the little, that you have. And I believe that God has planned to bless all of us, and He wants all of us to follow, His laws and His, decree. And God will bless all of us. That's as much as I want to recap. Today I don't know. It's a story that I enjoy. So maybe this might even be a good time for us to take responses. So far the internet has been good to me. Amen. I'm happy about that. Maybe we can take some responses at this time. We can take questions, take comments. So who wants to go first? I'm going to hand us over to our MC, who is going to tell us who. And for those of you who are watching maybe on YouTube, you can type in your questions, and I'm sure we'll be able to take them from here. All right. Ikeja-ketu, Olariwaju, your hand is up.
Okay. Good evening, bros. Thank you very much. So astonishing, and I'm so glad that I.
Ikeja-ketu,
Hello?
we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, please. You want to speak up a bit? Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, bro. It's very, very encouraging to be here tonight, and the message is very, very deep for me, and it's just something that I just want to share a bit. And, close my mouth. Really, it's what you just shared. The later part of your message is that why people judge from their own point of view, and this is something that is very, very, related to my story and my short story today. And I feel so glad about it that I can hear it and I can be able to relate. What happens simply for me is that when people judge, and it's so pathetic that we have proper disciples, sincerely, that are involved in this kind of idea, really, what they say to you, what you hear them talking about, is all that is the position that we have found ourselves today. And it will be more art friendly where you hear it from, and not just young disciples, but older ones. When you listen to them, what they say, and condemning you, saying things, things that are derogatory about you, when you hear it, they will not even come to you to say it. But when you hear it from third party, that one is really very bad. And we involve in this. I won't say I am out of the whole thing, but really for us to be here tonight, for me to be here tonight, Patrick, it's very, very encouraging. And having listened to this, I know that one of my colleagues around, my colleagues in the line of business I do, was telling me that how long have I been living where I'm living? That I should try and leave my house. I should try. And I look at him and I laugh. I said, what makes you to say this? Maybe because I involve with kind of people who, the nature of my business is, the guys, they make money and they buy cars, they buy luxury things. And that's where I belong. And he knows the kind of people I mingle with. So he was challenging me and telling me that, among all your friends, you are the one, probably maybe I don't have a car. And I laugh at it and I say, what makes you to talk like this? That I need to change that. He has not spoken to me like this. He has not come to me to talk to me about anything before. But this one that I just feel like, I said, are you a prophet? Are you a pastor or what? Are you seeing something that I did not see? Can you tell me more? So I was just asking him about those questions. And the guy, I knew exactly what he was saying because of the kind of friends that I surrounded myself with and the way they see them. They are younger to me in age, but these are the guys that fly with cars, exchange cars, changing of cars, year in, year out, and everything happens. Well, what you see, I don't count on it. I am not for that. I know what happens is I'm a father, I have a wife, and I know God, and I'm thankful that God has blessed me so far. So whatever anybody thinks or whatever you see, that one will come at the right time. And I responded like that. And this one is really more encouraging to me. Having listened to this message tonight, I feel so blessed. Thank you very much. That's all I have. Sorry for taking more time.
It's okay. Thank you so much for your vulnerability. I really appreciate that. And God will bless you, and God will, again, in his own time, reward you, reward your faithfulness, and reward your trust in him. I have no doubts. Our God is a faithful God, and he will do that. A scripture, I was just thinking, so many things go through my mind. A scripture was going through my mind even as you were speaking, and that was something that Paul said to people who are, I don't want to use the word slaves, and he encouraged them even at that point that if they could buy their freedom, they should go ahead and do it. But they should remember that everybody is God's slave anyway. If it bothers you, in other words, I don't want anybody to put themselves into undue pressure where you say, okay, well, you've heard it right now, so I'm living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I need to move out to a duplex, so you go and borrow money and put yourself in debt. That's not, what I'm saying. Make sure everything has to be God. Make sure you plan. Don't go and owe what you cannot pay back, and every single thing. So ask God, what do you want me to do at this time? Is it the right time? If am I jumping from frying pan to fire? How long do you want me to stay here? And let God. God will, like we say, God will reveal himself to you. I have no doubt. God will definitely reveal himself, to you with that. Thank you so much about without question, and for your vulnerability. I really appreciate that. I think I saw Peter's hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, good evening, my evangelist. I I was about to toe the line of Mr. Editola today, you know, and you just you broke the ice by the illustration you gave about the old man and his white horse and his neighbors and all that. That just did it for me. I'm somebody that believes in God's time. I've turned down job opportunities just because they won't give me Sundays. I've turned down opportunities just because I wouldn't have my Thursdays. That was back in the day. Middle Church was Thursdays. I've turned it down. And at a point, I begin to feel like, what's the game now? That's where I begin to feel. And when you are preaching on Sunday, I was asking myself, did I get it? Where did I get it wrong? That was what came to my mind. But you just broke the ice with that illustration. Nobody knows. But what I believe is the now. The now is the time that we all have. If you neglect it, then what you're supposed to have or what you're supposed to achieve might be far from you, but not totally, taken away from you. Maybe you might have to put more pressure or more effort to get it since you have neglected the now, in the past. So this message is something that it kept ringing in my head ever since on Sunday. I went to the YouTube page, watched it again, I downloaded the audio. In fact, it's something that going to be my alibi for a very long time. Being somebody that has a lot of questions, I have a lot of questions up my mind. Doing things the right way, not getting the desired result. And people around you are like, okay, which church did you go to? Are you prayerful? You need to come somewhere so that they will lay hands on you. Because we see that you love God, but nothing is working visually, they can't see. But for me, I know if only the fact that they see that I love God and I do things for God, that is a miracle. That's something that glorifies God. And if I have that, for me, if I have that, I'm okay and I'm good. But that does not deter me from planning for a better life or planning not to be a liability. That's something I always dare not to do. I dare not to be a liability to anybody. And so far so good. God has been great. I've had the opportunity where people call me and like, how are you feeling? What do you want? Okay, just have this. Without asking. Without even asking. People just so, and that's the grace of God. It's not as if I deserve it, but it's God's grace. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Peter, for also vulnerably sharing. And while you were speaking, I found the passage of the Bible I was referring to when Ikeja-ketu was speaking. That was 1 Corinthians 7. Paul was referring to people young disciples who were slaves. Now, slavery is not what we think it is today. When we think slavery today, we think about the transatlantic slave, which is what our ancestors suffered when they went to America. That one is dehumanization. In those days, slavery is actually something good. If you know that things are hard for you, you can't survive, you actually become a slave to someone, and they treat them well. There's rules of engagement, they treat you well. Sometimes people just say, hey, I don't want to be free, I beg them just stay with you. That was why Paul, Paul writes, say each one should remain in the situation where he was in when he was called. Remember how someone like Philemon ran away Onesimus, ran away from fun. He said, were you a slave, when you were called? Don't let it trouble you. So you get a disciple and you cannot read, don't let it trouble you, or you are poor, don't let it trouble you. Although he said, if you you can gain your freedom, do so. But why are you doing it is the issue. He said, if you can gain your freedom, his Bible says, do so. For he who was a slave when he was called by the Lord is the Lord's free man, already free. Even though the word says yes, he's already free. Similarly, in the same way, he who was a free man when he was called is Christ's slave. We are slaves, and everything. I would say we are bought at a price, everything. So, also put your mind to rest. Be ambitious, which is good, but don't be desperate. Okay, when people are they're desperate. I will talk about people who have wandered away from the faith, who wants to make money. I would say that pierce their heart with so many griefs. And I know that we need to share what we go through. Sometimes you ask those questions, very good. I remember my son, he has taken my son almost 6 years, and he's still in university. Can you imagine? When he should have finished NYC like almost a year ago, you see, whatever. And I remember there was a time when my elder brother, some of you saw him on Sunday, he's in the US. He was like, oh, let me take Henry before he finished secondary school. Let me play. I say, I beg, let him. I say, if to say I allow Henry to have gone to US by now I will have finished whatever. But who knows? But God knows my heart at that point. I say, God, I don't want my son to leave me without becoming a disciple. He just finished secondary school. I said, I want to be a disciple. I want to be able to love him, to be able to share whatever. And hey, I think I will not trade that. Right now, I will not trade that for what I have right now for anything. Yes, it's taking almost 6 years and it's still in university, who knows? But again, there is a lot more that I can be thankful for. So gratitude has a lot in our life. When you are grateful, people say he opens up doors. I'm just grateful for life. I'm grateful for the things I have. I'm grateful for the things I don't have. I'm grateful for the things I've asked. I'm grateful that God has answered me, even though he has not material. I believe by faith that I have everything that God has. And so I'm not in want because the Lord is my shepherd. Let us hear from another sister, Laura Dumje. Let's hear from a sister right now, first sister today. Laura, please. Thank you for share.
Thank you, Evangelist Eme. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I'm so grateful because it just is like my life about not wasting time. So I remembered in 2008 when I lost my dad, and everyone was like, so what next? It was as if my father went with all our future. None of us will graduate, but there was something I kept telling my siblings and my mom, that as long as God is on his throne, we're going to finish. And so I traveled to Lithuania through thick and thin, finished my studies. It was hard. And then, came back to Nigeria, enrolled my 2 last sisters at Ojodu University in Cotonou. Though I didn't have a lot of money, but at least we could pay for 1 year and made sure that, they saved. In fact, it was so hard. But while I was struggling to do my own, first degree, I made sure that I didn't fail any exams so I could have a master's, and I got some grants and benefits. And even before I finished my master's, I was encouraged to further my research because I was one of the best students in class. At that time, I was 29 years old, so it wasn't that I was very young, but I kept pushing myself and motivating myself that I was going to get better. Today, I got my doctorate, and thanks be to God. When I came to Nigeria, I was applying for jobs, even here and abroad. But due to the COVID, I couldn't get jobs. But I got a part-time job at Queen's College, and then I was teaching. And during this time, even with the COVID, I didn't get any barrier. Nothing was stopping me. I was able to register for my event company. And then after registration, I got 2 events that I was able to pay, my tithes and then even my well-being. So I want to encourage some of our youth today. Despite my doctorate degree, I didn't get a job on time, and I'm still looking for a well-paid job at the university, but I was doing events, like I got a natural talent at that. So there's no stopping. There's no, I'm still looking for a job. I'm praying God will do it. Whatever we can do, let us do it now. And I totally agree with Evangelist Eme, and even with the scriptures that convict us that there is no time to waste, just invest. So I invested in my natural talent, which is my event management company. And today I have a registered company and also planning other events later this year. So thank you so much.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And of course, Laura is a shining example of just trusting in God and every single thing. And I think maybe we should have like a testimony Wednesday, one of these days. Or just come and share. I mean, me, somebody who didn't start talking on time, who people didn't believe in, who was feeling every single thing, whatever. But say, God has been faithful. I finished, college very well, one of the best students in the entire school. And I didn't have money for my, master's degree, but I have a US master's degree. I got like over 75% scholarship, to finish it. Before I even finished, my professor told me the university where he finished from has his PhD, Trinity College. And I applied and I was taken, boom, immediately to do a PhD. And, they gave me a grant. I asked for more, they gave me. I asked for more again. They said, well, listen, they don't do this. I said, listen, this what if I start, I can't finish? They now said, okay, well, let them go and meet with the academic board. And guess what? They had a meeting with the academic board and they granted me everything I asked for. So I'm doing a PhD in Trinity College, and I'm paying just chinchini, oberego, whatever. So it's not about me. Yes, I did the planning, I read my book, but God is awesome. God will take you to where leg cannot even take, take you. God can open up doors. God can multiply everything you have. So like we say, walk as if it depends on you, then trust as if it depends on God. It's 7:45. Do we have more people that want to share? If you like to share, if you want to ask questions, if you want to say, so how does this concern me? Let's talk. I think sometimes we keep quiet. Keep quiet. But God has been good. I mean, my two kids got admission to University of Lagos. Bam, first attempt. They didn't have to wait. And even though my son didn't take his first admission, he stayed at home for almost 2 years. Went back again. Boom, got another admission again. So but God has really, really, really been good. Let us have I don't know which of the Adefolus. Then after one of the Adefolu or Adefolu, we're going to have Adetola, Olubumi Adetola. Adefolu, please.
Thank you very much, my evangelist. Today's class has also been a very encouraging and motivational one, especially with regards to time. While we're growing up, we're being encouraged that time waits for nobody. And the truth of the matter is that just like what we have seen over time, we've noticed that time waits for nobody. I know that at some point in our movement, when the church came to us in Nigeria here, a lot of people have actually been disillusioned about what future looks like, especially because of some kind of discipline that was passed down or that has been received, where people were like, you don't need to go to school, you don't need to develop yourself, heaven is your home, we don't need to have property, we don't need to have church property, we don't need to have all these things. And at that time, a lot of things were just going haywire. And unfortunately, time was becoming different from what we were thinking it was. Either because funding were coming those days for us to rent facilities here and there. We weren't bothered about facilities for our churches. And also because we were wrongly discipled those days. People were like, they don't need to further school. Some had to even stop schools and were not developing themselves. But I must say that I'm encouraged by the learning of time today. And it helps us to see that time actually waits for nobody. And a lot normally and always change with time. None of us, even from what we are seeing today, can ever imagine that diesel will be selling for about 900 naira, or even dollar will be costing as much as about 600 and plus, 6 plus or 700 naira. And that's because of the time that we're also living in. And the same thing applies to rent. And nobody can ever imagine that rent will be skyrocketing so badly like this. And it's also proven the fact that we cannot play with time. We need to actually work hard, put everything in God's hands, and then also do our own as well. The scripture you shared also in 2 Corinthians that talks about where you slave, remain where you are, where if you are also able to get your freedom, get it. it's also very hard. And I think it's part of what you have also been able to preach to us tonight, that if people can really have opportunity to actually change their situation, it's important for us to change those situations. For instance, gone are the days when we need to live and wait on one salary. Now people need to do some side hustles, do some little businesses, students even selling things online. The days of Instagrams have come now, unlike those days when we don't have anything of such. In fact, those days, there wasn't anything like telephone. The places where we used to use telephone or where we used to go and queue up was in Ikeja, just to call London or call America. And I'm saying this because I still notice that some of us are still not realizing that time has changed. One, income may not be able to meet our expenses. For me, sometimes I'm burdened by situation like I want to help people and I don't have enough to help people. And I'm like, oh, I probably have become more entrepreneurship than the little I'm doing. But I thank God for the one that God has actually helped me to do so far. So that we need to also encourage ourselves to see that time is changing. And we don't even know where we're going, especially because we as disciples, we can't cut corners. So legitimately, either you're going to do two jobs and that will not still affect your discipleship life, please go ahead and do it. Either we need to actually raise the bar and push ourselves a little forward, as long as it doesn't interfere or it doesn't affect your life as Christians. It's important for us to realize that and begin to say that we need to do it now because time is changing. Economy is not smiling and expenses are also on the increase. And life also is also transient. Things are changing from the way we used to look at it. Today's class, brothers, my brother, I'm happy because it's more of a motivation now to help us to see that we need to move away from where we used to be and where we used to feel like, okay, all is okay, all is well, all is well. All is not well again in terms of situation that we find ourselves. Rent for facility now is becoming so high, and that is why we need to start thinking about having our own property. Thank God for Ikeja facility those years when we're looking for that facility, and for those donations that came. It's time to begin to replicate such things in all our facilities across Nigeria. God will continue to help us, but we need to also help ourselves, do our own part, and leave the rest to God. I just want to say thank you for this. It's also an eye-opener for those who have here, let us hear. Thank you very much. I've gained more, and I'm going to push myself a little more without putting any strain on myself. Thank you very much.
Amen. Amen, bro. Thank you so much for sharing so passionately. And I believe everything you said. Maybe to answer a bit of the question a bit, when the Bible said in 1 Corinthians 13, when I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put charges to it. I think our church passed through that growth period, that infantile period when we thought everything was awesome. I'm going to remain awesome. Now, as we began to grow, we now saw that, okay, well, I wish that's why you need a mentor. Okay, young people, you need a mentor. If you're in business, if you are old person, you want to start a mentor. So how I wish we have people who have gone through what we are going through right now. We didn't have anybody. Our movement as a church was relatively young. And you won't believe it, just a few days ago on Saturday, someone actually asked me that question. An American, a minister in America asked me, bro, what will you advise us about, own our own property or whatever? And I laughed. I said, bro, I'll tell you a story. In 2003, where we were going through our evaluation, why the London church was hardest hit at that point was because they were renting facility, a church of over 1,000 disciples. So when they got to that, depression, call it the depression, people would just keep, hold back to their money, and that church suffered. I say, no matter what happened to us, we know that our community is there. We can come and fight there, play football there, whatever there, but it's our own. So it's a good thing. So there are a lot of mistakes. We wish we did it when we were young. The same way also as a church. You guys know Oladipo Okuku Street off Allen. We could have bought that money for how much? 3.5 billion, one crazy amount. Massive, how many story building, whatever. Well, So the best time to plant a tree is 25 years ago. The second best time is today. So if you have missed opportunity, you cannot be it could whatever. There's another scripture I wanted to share. Ecclesiastes chapter 7. It said, in this meaningless, of course, Solomon was very negative at this point. in this meaningless life of mine, I have seen both of these. One, I've seen a righteous man perishing in his righteousness, and a wicked man living long in his wickedness. So what does Solomon say? Solomon say, well, do not be over righteous, neither be over wise. Can anybody actually be over wise? It was extremes, okay? Why destroy yourself? Do not be over wicked, and do not be a fool. Why die before your time? It is good to grasp the one and let not go of the other. He said, the man who fears God will avoid all extreme. And he ends by saying there in verse 9, he said, wisdom makes one man more powerful than 10 rulers. So what we need to do is to pray for wisdom. I just say, sometimes we don't know. So, even when we think we know, we don't know. So those, and wisdom is not knowledge applied, by the way. In the concept of the word, is what you know, you apply it. But godly wisdom, it's not about age, it's not about experience. God will give it to you. I would say, if you lack wisdom, ask from God who gives without finding fault, will give it to you. So that is what I pray. God, please give me wisdom. Wisdom beyond my age. Let me just know what to do at the right time. So that also helps us to forgive one another. Some people, because of lack of wisdom, has advised people, to take routes that were not wise. Okay, maybe drop out of school, burn your passports, all the way. Amen. May God bless us. That's all I will say. May God bless everything. But now that you know that that route is bad, you can't go and be repeating it. I don't know if you have enough time. Let me take Adetola, then we'll go to Ini Eta. Okay, Adetola, then Ini Eta. Olubumi Adetola. That's the name I see here.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, my evangelist. God bless you. Since Sunday, it has really been a class on my head, time. Initially, when you started, I said, wow, this one is a serious class. But at the end, I realized that the most important thing is now and now. Not yesterday, but now. And today's class as well, today's explanation. I've been always like, wow, if for the little I know about myself, my growing up has been like indoor, straightforward person. My parents were Anglican. I went to deeper life before I became a disciple. So it has just been a straight life for me. And getting into marriage is just like, everything is just upside down, and I'm feeling, I've tried to be straight now. Why is everything like this? But along the line, okay, God is there, God is faithful. But with Sunday's class and today, I've seen that one thing is for you to see God in the picture. And I've held on to Genesis 15:19, where Joseph said, the enemy planned this, but it's just for it. He went through all what he went through just for God's name to be glorified, just for God to feed his people and all that. And that has been what has been keeping me going. I've been thinking, okay, maybe my marriage life is like this because God wants me to see this from this angle, especially on my children. How impactful am I in the church? How impactful am I with my children and all that? And lately, I've just been trying to change my way of discipline with my children and just myself, knowing fully well that now is more important than tomorrow. And thanks for the class. I pray I keep pushing till I get to that point where Joseph got to and said that. And to God be the glory. Thank you so much.
Amen. Fidelis, Mr. Fidelis, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
You are the continuity announcer today. I hope. Please, I know that it takes a while to process what you want to ask, but there are just a lot of hands that are up right now. Mr. Fidelis, you're going to tell us what to do. It's 8 o'clock, and I think we might have to end now because of time. Remember, time.
Exactly, yes. We have to end now because, as you can see, a few people are already signing out.
And it's an incredible, incredible class. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for such a wonderful class. Thank you so much. I took down a lot of notes. I mean, I can't just start pointing out all the things that you said, but I will have to go back to the message again. Thank you so much. For those of us who still want to ask questions, please, you can still see Emmanuel on Sunday and go to him and ask him these questions. Or you want to share, go to him and share, and I'm sure he will be ready to, to respond to you and give you more feedback and insight. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for such a wonderful class. We have come to the end of the service. I have a quick announcement, which I'm going to be reading out. Okay, it says all Ikeja, Maryland, and Ojodu Isheri campus young professionals will be meeting at the Odiaka's residence. Time 12 noon. I think it says the address is on the group platform. Thanks. This is from Michael Odiaka, all Ikeja, Maryland, and Ojodu Isheri campus young professionals will be meeting at the Odiaka's residence. Time 12 noon. The address is on the group platform. Thank you very much. So thank you so much for being part of the Midweek service. It's been a wonderful time of learning, about time. And thank you so much, Emmanuel. As we come to the end of the service, I want to invite our dear brother, George Olaniyo, to close us out with some words of prayer.
Just a quick one, Mr. Chinedu. I think my brother Onwuhara has his hand up, and I think there might be announcements that we missed. One, equipping class resumes this Sunday, 8 o'clock. Okay, get there before 8. Remember time, get there before 8. That means you have to leave home early. I think there's an announcement that's from the Marist Ministry, or maybe Mr. Onwuhara has an announcement. We should be getting all these announcements together before the service. Mr. Godwin, do you have an announcement?
Yes, the PSA test we want to do, please, this is very important that most of us, the brothers, the men, we need this test. And it costs a lot to do it outside, but this organization are coming to the church, believing that we're going to have a lot of people be doing the test, and it's 2,000 naira. They've already done it in Surulere and in other regions. And if you go outside of this program, they're doing it about 10 to 15,000 naira. So please, let's take advantage of it. And every man should be able to know his position when it comes to PSA. That is prostate-specific antigen. It's very important for every man. So please, as many people as possible, signify and let us know so that on Sunday, we can put them together and call them to come and do the test for us. It's almost like doing it free. Thank you.
All right, so who do we give our money to? Who do we begin to report to quickly?
I'll be responsible so that we don't.
Okay, all right, so somebody has asked me that question. I didn't have the answer. So let's all give, get together with Mr. Onwuhara this Sunday. Bring your money. You get together, then we can do this. I think this is a blessing for all of us for such a time as this. Okay, so who is making the final prayer? For the married, Mr. Anolefo, do we have announcements?
Not really, just to remind, not a major, it's just to remind the married that coming Sunday we're going to meet again in continuation of our I Choose Us on the topic of choose vulnerability. And that will be soon after the communion. After the communion, we will all go. Either down, I'm not evangelist. I thought we are staying up this time around. Are we still going to Kiss Kingdom? That's,
yes, we're going to go to
Kiss
Kiss Kingdom.
Communicated.
Yes, we're going to go to Kiss Kingdom.
So
let's be clear about that. So after the communion, everybody goes to the Kiss Kingdom. The rest stay up. Is that okay? All right. So let's have the closing prayer. 4 minutes past 8. Mr. Shegun.
Amen. God in heaven, we are grateful, Lord God, for this time. We thank you for the lessons of today. And we thank you, Father God Almighty, for what we are be able to establish this evening. We know you are a God that's full of wisdom and knowledge. We thank you for all our plans. We thank you for the plans you have for us. And I know everything about you is supreme. Despite our plans of time, your time is the ultimate. God in heaven, help us, Lord God, to be able to build into your time. Help us, Father God Almighty, in you, so that everything that we lay our hands on will come according to your plan. We are grateful for this night. We are grateful for the lessons of today. Let it be permanent in us and help us to make best use of it, Lord God. As we make our plans, help us to remember you. To you be all the glory and honor for everything. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Good night,
Amen.
everybody.
Amen. Mhm.
Mama Gold.
Mama, how are you, ma?
Fine. Good evening, Abi. Good afternoon. Good evening over there.
Yeah, good
That's
evening.
time.
No.
See how time is. Time is
Yes.
Good evening. How are you doing, Mama? I'm
I'm
happy to
doing
see
fine.
you. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Erika Tala.
Yes. Well done, ma.
How's my children? Oh,
They are fine. They are fine.
okay.
Mama,
I
it's
used to
great to see you,
remember
ma.
everybody all the time.
Yes, so.
My mind is with you people. Oh.
Yes, mind is with you as well. Oh. We are happy seeing you all the time.
Thank you. Greet
Mama, good evening, ma.
Olarino, has he left?
Olaniyan, she's probably listening to you.
He has left. He had left.
He's probably listening to you.
Okay. I'm
Okay, this is
greeting all of you.
yes, so this is greeting you as well. It is here. This is Kinedu.
Mother Onha.
I thank all of you. This Zoom has helped me too much.
Yes,
it brings me home. My heart is at home.
Exactly.
I pray that our Nigeria will settle, so that when we are coming, we will not be fearing again.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. That's good to see you.
I like this topic you did today. I like it so much. Even that thing that happened in Nigeria church is still happening over here. They are in renting. They don't buy house, making it their own. Even up till now, I'm talking. Since I came here, we have turned around every school, everywhere. When we hire this school here, small time they will say we will not be there again. There's another high school we are going to be having at church. Even up to this moment I'm talking, I said, wow, why can't these people decide and have one place so that everybody will know that this is our church. This place is our church. But they don't think of that at all. They don't think of that. We are still renting. High school, we are now going to this place. Before Porter, they said this is another place. I say, wow.
It's amazing. And the thing is that it's not easy to just, like here, you can just go and buy land, and over there is restricted. You can't just go. Before it was hotels, we were using hotel halls, and we outgrow the hall, and the hotels are getting very expensive, and parking is a problem. Now we start going. I remember one of the churches in Atlanta, Gwinnett, where Uncle Richard used to be. When it was a primary school that they were meeting at that point. So right now it's biting a lot of people because the financial burden is really going very high.
Now it's a very, very burden, because
it's a big burden.
If they can cannot do it at that time, I don't know how they can do it now, because things are too hard.
Yes.
Things are too hard.
It's true. Yeah, like I was sharing.
But Pentecostal church here, Anglican here, they have churches. They have
yes,
a
because they thought
permanent
about
place.
it. They thought about it ahead. In our own history of our church, there was a time that we bragged. We're bragging that we don't need to buy a place that was the need or whatever. We bragged. Now
Yes,
we're young.
Yes,
then.
I can remember.
We're young.
That time
That's
the
what
church
young people
came
do.
in newly in Nigeria. That time in Onitsiri, we are using canopy. And everybody was thinking that is the best.
So now it's we're getting more mature now, and those are the lessons you learn when you are getting older, because there was nobody who had gone through that phase in our movement to come and tell us, now we have gone through, we cannot advise. Like the church in Asaba, the wife and I, planted years ago, they have their own facility. The church in Ilorin that we used to lead, they have their own facility. The church in what's the name again? Many of our churches have their own facility. Abuja, they bought a land. I've seen the land that they have, and so on and so forth.
Even that time they are building that Ikeja. That's our number one Joby fellow. I was thinking about what of our evangelist house. So can't we try? Our evangelists will be renting house for them. They will be having, but all Anglicans, they have their priest house. That every priest that comes will be there.
Yes, that's actually the level we are going now. That's the next step that we are going
so
now,
all those things is very, very essential. Very, very essential.
Because of rent will drive us to that. Like now, I'm still living in Yaba. I'm supposed to be living in Ikeja, but the houses are expensive. So I think now, God is opening our eyes. Sometimes they say necessity is the mother of invention. If you're never hungry, you know that papa is sweet. You don't know.
And when you are waiting for the time to be better, that's a better time. There will be no better time.
You never. So it's
instead of better, it will be going higher and higher and worse.
Absolutely. So those are the lessons. Those are the lessons that we must learn. Thank God that we can even learn those lessons.
Thank you so much.
So that our children will not suffer. All right, everybody. Good night.
Children,
I'll see you guys on Sunday.
Children,
good night.
Bye. Good night.
Mama, good night. Bye.
Good night. Thank you. Dele.